Good morning, Metal Dogs, or whenever it is that you watch this. I feel strongly compelled to do a reading for us today. After a walk, I didn't even take time to shower, and I wolfed my breakfast. And then I had to wait for a very noisy tow truck to leave my neighborhood. But here I am. We'll see what happens. I found this feather on the trail, and I thought, oh, it's just a boring silver feather. And I think if I hold it over my face, then it will focus, but maybe not. But as I flipped it back and forth, I saw silver. I saw the fires in California and Oregon and Washington here on this side. And on this side, which I want to hold up like this, I saw the ocean. So I was thinking of the Pacific and where my family is surviving these fires. And also I think of a great horned owl that I saw one morning here last week at 7:30 in the morning. It seemed quite late for an owl to be up, and she seemed quite sleepy. And me, nearsighted as I am, I knelt down on the path to stare at her. She looked like my cat. And I just had this feeling after that something would happen. And things did happen that day. Good things happened. Powerful things. But today on my Facebooking, I read about birds flying all the way here to die with their lungs full of ash. And I'm filled with sorrow at that. I like to pick up feathers on the path. This is from another day. They always look rather weary from flight, ready to rest, raggedy. But the silver one I found today assured me that I really should go with my intuition and do a reading for my metal dogs, for me. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about the whole metal dog thing. It was what was on my mind as I was walking. I'll shuffle here. I know from Chinese restaurants in childhood, when you look at the placemat, that the year I was born is the year of the dog, and that always worked for me because I love dogs. I relate to dogs. I often feel like a lone wolf, but I know I'm meant to be in a pack. Dogs are honest, and they can be a little bit pessimistic, but the metal that comes into the metal dog, for those born in years beginning with 0 and 1, your element is metal. And I learned that in grad school. I worked at the university reference desk, and the librarians there held a Chinese New Year party, a couple of the Chinese historians, and that was where I learned I was metal, and that there was this whole way of doing astrology the Chinese way that I just know a teeny bit about, but which has been really fun. And so we each have an element: metal, water, metal, water, fire, wood, getting them in the wrong order, earth, and that these have relationships to one another. So metal shapes wood, and metal creates water because water condenses on metal, and it also carries water. And fire softens metal. And so it's interesting to think about my relationships with my friends. I have a fire goat friend. I've hung out with tigers a lot. Tigers and dogs tend to get along, and both of wood and water. And so to kind of just play around with how our relationships are important on an elemental level. So then, knowing myself as metal dog, which I think is like very punk rock, has been fun. And I love my fellow dogs, those of us born in 1970. There's more boring stuff that I could talk about, or maybe interesting stuff about my very, very limited and cultural appropriative knowledge of Chinese astrology. But I do like to play, and that's what I mean to do. I mean to play with these ideas and these ways of understanding my identity, which I experience as fluid. But today, my question for us metal dogs is I'm going to use the Wild Unknown deck here. It's a deck made of animal images, and I call it my sweetheart deck. It's my first deck, and it feels sweet in my hands. It never gets jealous of the other decks I use. Although I did have one of my favorite decks yesterday, felt like an asshole. I don't know. You just get these ideas where they come from. Do they come from the cards? Do they come from outside? And it's quite, it's very fun. It feels very good to commune with the tarot. The Lovers. Anyway, so you can feel like the cards coming through are saying things to you too. But on the note of strength, I will cut the deck and pull some cards. And the question I have, which the cards know because I've been shuffling them, pondering on this, is again, what are we metal dogs to bring to this moment? And in particular, what can we offer our planet, which seems to be suffering? The underlying energy today for this reading is the Wheel of Fortune, which is about divine timing, about fate. I see a globe there. I see the moon. I see the sun. I see eclipse. I see stars. And I also see my friend, the horned owl, although that is a different kind of owl in the image. One of the readers that has taught me so much that I love, I'm forgetting her name, something Awakening. I hope I remember it. She uses this deck and she knows so much about animals. All right, so the recent past, we get the Three of Pentacles, collaborative, earthy, 3D. We live under the sacred mountain here of over 13 indigenous tribes. We'll see what more comes out as we keep reading. And we've already seen this card as I was shuffling along. So this is the present. This is judgment. And it's very interesting that we see birds flying up out of darkness and that great white raptor. This card is very often shows Archangel Michael and people coming up out of coffins. It's like Judgment Day, a day of reckoning. A day of right here rising from the earth to our higher selves. And a friend yesterday suggested that we see ourselves bringing our darkness with us. And I love that idea. As a Scorpio, darkness is something I'm quite comfortable in. Here we get, in our underlying influences, we get the Emperor. And this reminds me always of the Ponderosa Pines here, and you can see the sun is eclipsed. And the Emperor is really like the King of Kings, all of the elements brought together into one. Quite a majestic image, the lone tree here. In the woods, it feels like a sweet, kind presence that is with me when I walk in the woods. And so here we have the person asking the question, us metal dogs, and here we are in rainbows and pentacles. I keep seeing us as incredibly lucky, mature, where the tens are the end of a cycle, and this is a 3D cycle. I see, again, like I'm writing the science fiction. It makes me think of all of these arcs in my sci-fi fantasy, leaving the earth, protecting the planet by preserving it, kind of like Biosphere 2 envisioned doing. And I see this rainbow of possibilities. I see our goodness, our depth, our diversity, that we metal dogs, the ones I'm friends with, are people that are diverse and that are good allies as well. Okay, wonderful. Okay. People around us. So this is the Justice card in this deck. Two cats, a black one, a white one, and they have the Sword of Truth. I love how they're looking at us, how their tails are crossed. I see them kind of conspiring, and then we've interrupted them. They're making a decision. Do we go dark? Do we go light? I always find that very problematic as a anti-racist, that we always associate the black cat with evil. When I look at this, the white cat looks a bit sinister to me, but I like their tails overlapping. Yeah, the black cat has black in her eyes, and the black cat has very open eyes, and the white cat has black eyes. Um, so, in a time where we're critiquing whiteness, are they going to pick up that sword and go to battle? It's funny, I've been reading the people around me as like other from me, different. Yeah. Domesticated animals, the cat too. So that's interesting that I'm asking, like, what is our job with this planet? And here I get surrounded by domesticated black and white cats who are conspiring, and they have a big dagger between them. We will see. I love our advice. The advice is the sun. And this card is ultimate happiness. It's total wish fulfillment. It's, I feel like this card says, bring joy, bring light. We have that. We already have that here, right? And we're seeing the sun eclipsed here in the Emperor, right? So this is the underlying energy. And then we have us rising from darkness into light. So I feel like, bring light. Maybe I'm not going to be able to get more information than that. It feels like with the metal dog tendency to be pessimistic, but the metal causing us to temper that and to bring optimism. Maybe that's the best I can do is like envision the world I want to see. Oh, wow, I've never seen this. You probably did. But there's birds at all four corners pulling the sunlight out. And I think of people who are burning in fires, and maybe this makes you think of fire. But I also think of my sister posted something about having a dream that she woke up and went outside and she could see the stars. And it's quite smoky there, and the sun is red. It makes me sad. It looks like this, that sun that they're living under there in the west. All right, and the future. Wow, the future is the world. And the world card, this is an incredibly beautiful world card in this deck, and I think I might actually read the description of it from the book. But the world in tarot means the end of a cycle, right? And we got that here with who we are. This is us, the people asking this question, wanting to know this. So it means the end. It means we've completed something. But this world is a very beautiful meaning that adds to that. So, and it comes in the tarot. We have the sun is number 19, judgment, which is our present, is number 20, and it means forgiveness. And the world means wholeness and completion. The world is the final card in the journey of the major arcana. It signifies completion, harmony, and contentment. It's rare to experience this energy as we are usually consumed by wanting, needing, and achieving. So when this card appears, contemplate for a moment the idea of being whole. Focus on the image of the card. Close your eyes and envision this radiating energy inside you. What does it feel like? Where is it located? What blocks you from feeling a sense of wholeness each and every day of your life? I love this card in this deck. It's a beautiful card. You can see there are flowers in the darkness and all the rainbow color, and to think of this as wholeness. When I first started reading the tarot, I got 3 cards. I can't remember what the first one was. The second one was the sun, and the final one for the future was also this. And when I interpreted it to mean in my newness to tarot, but I still think I was right. You have everything you need. Recognize that you are whole. So in the sense of our planet and how we must relate to our planet, Another tarot reader suggested that when we manifest, when we envision the world that we want to build, the world that we live in, to envision it whole and healthy and just, and to not worry about how to get there. But if we all put our energy to envisioning that and actually believing that that is in our nature. I'm a historian. I'm constantly having to teach my students something that they were raised to believe, that human nature is greedy, is dominant, takes, that there's hierarchy and sorrow between us. And so we're told it's unrealistic to want peace and justice and equity. And I think that's just not true. And as a historian, I see many people resisting that image throughout history, envisioning a world where we are at peace with the land, where we serve the land, and we have a reciprocal relationship with our planet. And that these ideas have been pushed under in the recent 500-year history of colonialism and white supremacy in this country and globally, I would say, the Western way. It only is possible to live with themselves if they convince all of us that this is our nature. This reading tells me that our nature is rainbows and light and justice and forgiveness. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and take a little bit more time. If you want to see this clarified, I'm going to take the Tarot of the Old Path, which is informed by Wicca people in the present, and I find that very intriguing. I think of Wicca as like our modern diviners. And I know very little about Wicca, but increasing interest in the occult as a historian, like to study that. But also walking around in the woods in these pandemic days, feeling a bit in tune with nature. I feel like when I take my hat off in the woods, that my head opens and I'm one with the sky. So perhaps you'll think I'm crazy. I'm just going full on with this. Okay. So let's start. Let's just go through the whole thing. I'll take my time here. I'll take your time. I know very few of you watch even this far into a reading. So if you're here with me, come along. Let's see. What is the Three of Pentacles, our recent past? I don't know why this card, the Six of Pentacles, it just pisses me off right now. It's supposed to be like a good card. It's a charitable person, a rich person giving to poor people. This makes me think charity is not enough. We need equality. So anyway, that card really is just grating on me. I'm glad it's in the past. The Two of Rods here. We see this goofball with his silly shoes on stilts. When I look at this card, I see a person who's made himself taller by getting on stilts, but he's looking at his feet. In other decks, this card is about manifesting, envisioning, looking ahead to the world that you want to build. But this person is looking at his feet or her feet. One of the things I like about this deck is you can read it very non-binary, very transgender. Everybody could be, usually they have bad hair. This would be my favorite COVID hairstyle. The Knight of Pentacles with his bowl cut. Again, he's in nature. He's wearing green. He's also in armor. He is a slow poke. To me, this makes me think about we have been so slow about dealing with climate change, right? We know, we see, but we're looking at our silly red shoes like, come on, move it. And we've been looking out way too much for wealth, protecting wealth instead of our planet. And I can't help but notice all the green in the pentacles here, right? Pentacles are money, the 3D world, the material world. Like I see, and pentacles are the earth sign. Sorry if I have crazy hair. This is bedhead. It's not bad. It's hat hair too. Um, okay. Oh, I want to shuffle. I did just see the King of Swords, so maybe we'll see him again. But for the present, I like to shuffle for between each. So Judgment, help us understand. The recent past to me is a kind of creativity, willingness to work together. Here we are under the sacred mountain, but we're too slow. We're looking at our feet and we're carrying over much about protecting the pentacles. Okay, some cards just fell out here. I'm just not that kind of reader. I'm gonna shuffle. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle and stop. I'm not trying to pop cards out here. Maybe I'm ignoring an important message, but too bad. Okay. Judgment. The High Priest, also known as the Hierophant in other decks. Here, another bird. Here, a powerful person on a throne. Very much, he's got an elephant. He's got a bull. He's making the Jesus symbol here. He's the Pope in the traditional tarot. He often represents institutions of marriage, institutions like big places like the university where I work. So we have Judgment, which this book tells us is about forgiveness. And we have the High Priest, this institutional power in the present. We have Karma. This came up in my very first filmed reading that I did for my students when I was asking about the pandemic. And here we have death and rebirth. This is also the card of justice. No, this is the card of judgment. So this reiterates judgment. It's a quite different image of judgment, right? It's like very cycles of life version of judgment. Very mystical, magical, spiritual, all those gorgeous stars in the sky. And overlooking it, these two guides. In the center of it, some kind of priest. This is very different from this priest of the Hierophant. Powerful present. That's what I see. Thirdly, we get a new opportunity. The Ace of Rods, fire, baby. There's Stonehenge. This is our woods on fire. A butterfly, transformation, willpower, a new start. I mean, this card can be read for our moment in many ways, and certainly when you have the governor of California talking about climate change and the Democratic presidential candidate saying he's willing to lose over climate, over race, over healthcare. We are accepting this. It's interesting that Stonehenge is back there, that spiritual place. Old Western conquest. England was a conquered place too. I just read an article with my students on settler colonialism that goes all the way back to the 16th century, and English people at that time writing books where they said, we were once pagan and barbaric and the Romans came and civilized and Christianized us. Won't the Americas be glad if we do that for them? It's very interesting to see people kind of embracing being colonized as a way of justifying colonization. Here's our King of Swords again. So the underlying energy, the Emperor, a king. The king of truth, the king of cutting through the bullshit. He's armored, he's clear-eyed, he leads from the mind. Goes quite well with the Emperor. The Emperor is often associated with the divine masculine, with institutions, much like the High Priest. So here we've got the Emperor and the High Priest. Like, these are the institutions of the present world. They are in our faces. So is karma. So is an opportunity for a new start. And so the underlying energy being the Emperor, we see the emperor here as a massive tree under an eclipse, or under a smoke-choked sun. So the King of Swords, what else? Underlying, okay, the Six of Swords. This is usually about moving from disturbed waters to calmer ones. It's about movement. The swords are the suit of truth, intellect. So this is more swords. I find swords are associated with air, and in this deck are the color yellow. And this young person, I think of King Arthur, I think of the Lady of the Lake handing a sword to King Arthur. There was a really great new series on that called Cursed that I watched, maybe on one of my streaming channels. And then the other underlying influence is the Seven of Pentacles. We've seen the Seven of Pentacles before. This is the guy who's been working so hard, and he's waiting for the fruits of his labor. He's waiting for a payoff here. So underlying influence. And I feel like this King of Swords, like this very masculine, very crabby, very dominant, very conquest-oriented, stern fellow. Like, he's a deep guy, he's that Aries, Aquarian, Libran, air sign. And then we have this movement here, a movement. Hard work. This is why we demolish our earth, to protect the economy, because we value hard work. This goes back to the period I study, the theories of the body value labor. Christianity values labor. Idle hands are the devil's playground. So we overmuch value hard work, and that if you work hard, then you are entitled. I don't know. This underlying emperor energy is very masculine, very hard, militaristic. I always think this Seven of Pentacles, like, this guy feels very sorry for himself. Okay. It's funny how strong my feelings can be about cards. And in particular when they appear in a story. Okay, let's talk about us. 10 of Pentacles. All right. This is the 8 of Pentacles. It comes after the 7 of Pentacles. This is a person who's a master craftsperson, who's learning a new trade. He looks like Robin Hood to me too. I think that's important. The meaning of Robin Hood, especially given my current intense irritation at the 6 of Pentacles. It's like this economic divide between the rich and the poor. I think we need to be creative, and I think we are creative here. We have 10 Pentacles. We have achieved it, man, and it's time to do something with all of our skills and all of our power. Again, we get the 10 of Pentacles again. Here, this one is very unusually, actually reminds me of the 10 of Cups, right? Because this is a couple, a power couple. Pentacles. And we have the truth. We know. I think we know. I also see, in this time of fire, clear blue skies pierced by this truth. I feel we have it. We know it. We have the skills. We have the power. Very earth-oriented. And usually Pentacles are kind of like boring. I like the feelings and I like the passions, and I even like the swords more than the Pentacles if I think about it. But here I like the Pentacles. The Pentacles are earth, and we have love amongst the Pentacles and rainbows. Okay, so justice. Who are these people around us? The cat, the 2 cats, the 2 domesticated animals with their swords. So they have the truth too. So maybe we see this truth, piercing blue skies. These guys, their sword is pointed down. Look at the atmosphere around them. So we're clarifying this card. Okay. Oh my goodness, we get mastery. Badassery. For my Cancerian friends. This is your card. I'm going to do a reading for Cancers soon. This is coming on fast. I see the multiple colors of horses. I see this sort of warrior. What's he got in his hand? He's bringing flowers. That's perfect. This, to me, this is a drag queen. She is bearded. She is broad-shouldered. She is in fabulous armor and a cloak. She's looking good. She is coming to the rescue. Yes, I mean, today, no doubt. It makes me think of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, I think, part of the ACT UP community, and who were, at the gay pride events that I went to when I was coming out. Yay, I'm so happy they are with us here. Uh-oh. So we also have stingy, control freak, Four of Pentacles here. I don't want to share. Okay, yep. That's definitely a quality of people around us. I'm afraid. I want control. I'm clinging to my Four Pentacles instead of feeling this abundance, right? I have so many pentacles, I'm throwing them around and I'm wasting them on a big fancy wedding. Okay, and finally, yay, we have love. We have the Ace of Cups. This is an offering of a new beginning, right? So much of this says we're at the peak. We're kings, we're emperors, we're tens, we're at the world, and when you have that, you need the new ideas. So we have an Ace of Rods. This is a new start. We have the truth, the Ace of Swords, right? A new beginning full of truth. And finally, a new beginning that is full of love. And this is coming from the people around us, right? So don't you feel a little bit better about the choice that these two kitties are consulting one another about? I do. I mean, I've got mastery as this massive, gorgeous drag queen. Sure, there's the little fear-based Four of Pentacles hoarding his pentacles, but ultimately he is looking here. Like he's actually in the position of the cards, that he's looking, he's holding on to his pentacles, and he's got his other hand on his pentacles, but I see that he is distracted by this cup, which is an offering of love. And I feel like, especially with mastery, the Chariot coming in looking so good, right behind him, I feel good about the people around me today. The hidden influences, not so much. King of Swords, Six of Swords, Seven of Pentacles. Those are definite forces that we are dealing with. Okay, our advice. If you're still bearing with my goofballness, yay! Thank you, planet, or thank you, cards, for giving us this advice. Here she is, the Empress. She came up in the Virgo future. She is our Earth goddess. She is the counterpart to the Emperor, right? Here he is, our hidden influence. She is our advice. This is the Divine Feminine in this beautiful forest filled with birds. I need to be reminded to look again for birds. Her woman symbol. She's in her green dress. She's pregnant. There's an adoring little lamb looking at her that actually looks quite a bit like my dog Ganymede. The rabbit signifies sexuality, reproductive power. And there's red-breasted, true-hearted robins here, and a deer. In the Ponderosa Pine Forest, I can't help but see it. Beautiful butterflies. This looks very positive. Excellent advice. We've got the Sun, we've got the Empress. Okay, we have the Knight of Swords. All right, this is the hard part of the advice. Um, he's dressed in yellow. He's associated with fall. There's fallen leaves. His sword is lit with light. At first, I thought it was blood. He looks serious. He's ready to go to work. The Knight of Swords is a fast worker, and I think that's a great counterpart to our past, right? Who is the slowpoke Pentacle Knight who just dilly-dallies around. We need fast action. We can't wait around anymore to deal with climate change. Like, this is about centering her, not all the money, right? And here, our happiness lies with what we have. Protect what we have. Celebrate it. And act quickly. Yes. Oh, and we get the world, a repetition of the world, this beautiful, naked goddess before the stars. Wow, she has all of the elements. She's got all the aces here, the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, which in this deck is very strangely a table, an altar. And in the Ace of the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles card in this deck. And I don't think I like it when readers say, I made mistakes, but maybe they mean something. But the Ace of Pentacles has a little blood on it. And there's a rabbit in front of it. Like there's like this rabbit here, right? And it tells me that to have this new earthly beginning of the Pentacles, we need to make a sacrifice. And we also need truth. And we also need the heart that is represented by that cauldron. And the passion, right? The creativity, the passion, the drive to answer to this call, this fire that is calling us to act. And to act swift, to use our words, to be the carrier of truth and determined in that. Yes. So again, the world is a part of our advice. This is about the end of the world, and it is about the beginning of a new world. We have all the aces here. And we haven't got the Ace of Pentacles, except in that as an icon in the image of the world. Okay, so here's our future. That looks fun. This is a card usually called Temperance, and we usually see Archangel Michael sort of measuring water, pouring water between two cups. You can see the angel here, and that is often seen as about transmutation and change, but it's also about, chill people, relax, slow down, right? Here's a naked couple, and instead of taking her fainted in his arms, he's pausing and caring for her and taking her to this healing being. I feel like this is a wonderful image of the divine masculine, which usually I just, as a queer person, I'm like, whatever. But we all have masculine and feminine, and the gentleness and the tenderness and the care of this divine masculine figure with this woman that is, I feel safe in his arms. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, Seven of Swords. This is our future. Okay, we're leaving. We're taking some swords. This is often about dishonesty, and it tells us to be honest. It tells us to be upfront. I'm not totally sure why it appears in the future. I think we have to come to terms with our darkness, right? A friend of mine looking at her shadow self makes me think of this, bring some of those birds from the darkness with you. Bring your darkness. Don't forget, as a historian, I don't want to tell stories where once we were evil and now we are good. And it's much more a story about I've internalized violence. I've internalized a history of white supremacy and colonialism and homophobia, even though I'm queer, and misogyny, even though I'm a woman. I've internalized this, and I need to deal with that. I need to look at it. I need to reassess it. Oh my God. There's your Ace of Pentacles. The new beginning, the sacrifice, the abundance that is represented by that rabbit that we saw in the Empress card. And that blood on that table always strikes me. And we can see a path. We can see a path from a castle to this earthy pentacle new beginning for which we will sacrifice. Whew! All aces, babies. We're kings. We're the emperors. We have the empress. I get goosebumps when I do this with you. I hope you got something out of it. If you stuck with me, get out there and do some shit. Stop this climate change. I wish I knew exactly what to do, but I feel like the fires, the plague, the hurricane coming up through New Orleans, even the sight that I had of a great horned owl early in the morning, exhausted, like a sleepy kitty cat, just looking at me from a near branch. I feel that our planet is telling us so much, and boy, the hammer is hitting harder. So take it, leave it, pass it on. Thanks for watching.